Yo, what's going on, guys? Back today with another video, and this is one that I've been thinking about for the last few days, and it came to me whenever I was walking the dog. A lot of ideas come to me while I'm walking the dog. It's really funny, but today I'm actually going to talk about the man himself, Drake. Now, if you don't live under a rock, you know who Drake is. Probably the biggest, well, I guess now second biggest rapper in the world. And I have always been a fan. I've been a fan since even when I was younger, I would always hear songs of his from the radio, whether they were his songs or features. But I started Take Care was one of the first albums I had on Apple Music, and I found it even before. I found it on Spotify, and I was like, wait, this is fire. And I guess ever since I found it on Spotify, I've been a fan ever since of all of his stuff. If you're reading This Is Too Late is still one of my favorite albums ever, and I also got the vinyl for it for my birthday. Great birthday gift. But recently, with all the stuff that's happened, it has just brought to my attention just another problem that I have with Drake. Now, before even getting into all of the beef stuff, this the problem the one of the main problems that I have with him is that ever since if you guys remember the whole situation with Scorpion and how it was forcefully advertised, especially on Spotify, it was very forcibly advertised until it dropped, and then it dropped. It was like a double-sided album with 30 something songs, and excuse me, I was unfortunately one of the people who sat there and listened to all of it when it came out. Vividly remember I was sitting in my bed with my laptop and my headphones. I just sat there before going out and just listened to the whole album in one sitting. And to say that I was even disappointed like that, just saying I was disappointed would probably be an understatement to how extremely mid that album was. Like at the end of More Life, which I love More Life, he literally says, "I'll be back 2018 to give you the summary," and I was like, "Oh, we're probably hinting at another album. It's probably gonna be even better than this one." But then, and even with some of the singles, "Nice for What," "Nice for What" was a banger. That song was elite. The sample was great. The music video for the song was really good, and the song itself was pretty good. But then but then you get to the actual album, and uh just oh man, just nothing but disappointment. And the annoying thing, and this is probably one of the main problems I have, is that he'll make these super long albums, and there's a good album in there. It's just hidden under all of the just mid. Like Ratchet Happy Birthday has to be one of the worst songs I have ever had the displeasure of listening to. Like I actually had my hands in my face listening to that song when I first heard Scorpion, dude. Oh, it's so bad, bro. It's so bad. And there's just so many songs like that on Scorpion where it's just they're not even good. They're just there. And it's obvious why he's just um doing putting all of these songs on there and not even quality checking them, I guess. It's just to get the streaming numbers, to get all the streaming records and stuff like that. And I mean, that's cool. That's obviously it's a pretty tried and proven business model, but the album is just not good. You're purposefully bloating the album to be even worse than what it'll already be. just by adding all of these like unnecessary songs. And this is a trend that continues with all of those major album releases. Like the reason why I like love Dark Lane demo tapes is because it's short. It is a short, I guess not maybe short, but it's like an average sized album. Or I guess it might be on the shorter end. But like there's not just this overly bloated track list. I think it's like 12-ish songs and most of the songs are pretty good. Like if you were to stick with that instead of these long bloated like basically cash grabs, then I feel like I'd be like way more like excited to actually get Drake music. But like I don't know why he doesn't just stick with that. I mean, I do know why. It's because of the money and like the streaming stuff. But like, come on, dude. Like people are able to drop average to short albums and still do like very very well. And that brings me to where the start of the beef is, because like I was think like to the average person that isn't like super invested in the hip hop, they would have obviously believed the beef started in with first person shooter. But this is beef that has been going on since 2011, because in like a short, I guess like a short summary, it started when like Kendrick was on Take Care, and he realized that him and Drake's views just like did not align at all. And you can tell by if you're when you're listening to the song compared to the rest of Take Care, their views very obviously do not like align. In fact, Drake like staunchly goes against a lot of the views that Kendrick actually has, especially towards like music. And then this is proven further the more and more they go down their careers. And then it gets to a point where I, what year was it? I think it was 2012 or 2013, where Kendrick drops Control, and he obviously calls out a bunch of different rappers. And a lot of the rappers that he called out actually like congratulated him for calling them out and be like, yeah, we have to, we got to step our game up. Hey, you got to do better because this is a competition. But then you get to Drake, which is one of the main people he calls out, and he does an interview. I forgot where the interview was, but he does an interview, and he goes on to talk about how it's like petty, it's like begging for attention, and it's like, wait, everyone else took this very well, and you're getting insecure about this? That's a red flag. And then like from that point onward, it would lead to make like the main like thing with this beef like over the years has been like a bunch of just like subliminals, like uh the language Drake, because there was one interview where Kendrick's calling him a mutter mouth, so he makes a bar about that on the language. uh King Kunta is talking about how he had ghostwriters in 2015. uh and then like on the Heart Part 4, yeah, like the 1 2 3 4 5 I'm the greatest rapper alive bar, and I kind of got Drake a little pressed. And then it gets to a point where we are now, where then it all kicks off with first person shooter like that, and then all the disses drop. And after like one like being there through all of it was like ridiculous, because I'm like, finally this happens. One finally calls out the other and starts it. And I mean, I knew from the moment that it started that Drake was gonna get like absolutely fried. And to say he got fried wasn't understatement. He got like barbecue chicken. It was bad to the point where you know how insecure he got because he kept saying, "Oh, he said like a whole legal case because he thought Kendrick was using Spotify bots to boost Not Like Us," and like, no, we're listening to this song, and then he eventually like drops that case, but then another one comes over where now he's starting to like sue a lot of these like YouTubers that reacted to Not Like Us, and it's like, dude, like the more and like ever since Kendrick like stopped putting stuff into the beef, like like the more and more like not only Drake but Drake fans like continue to go on and on and on and about it. It just continues to prove the not only what Kendrick is saying, but it just continues to prove like how insecure Drake is, and that's probably like my one like biggest problem with him. Besides all of the stuff that Kendrick obviously brought up, which I knew about a lot of like I knew about it because in 2019 I mentioned this in another video. Like Georgia Smith was one of my favorite artists like ever, and he was doing that stuff with Georgia Smith, and I was like, wait a minute, that's a bit weird. And then all of his stuff comes out, and I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now. It makes sense now. Cause like he'll do this, like one thing he does with like a lot of artists, like he'll see these artists that like dropping, and then like he'll take something from them, he'll use it, or he'll have them feature, and then he'll like obviously blow up off of it while they like don't succeed, and it's pretty scummy to me because it's just weird. But that's like that like kind of sums up like the main problem with Drake is like not only he's become like, I mean obviously you have to be commercial with how big of an artist he is. I mean that just makes logical sense. But like it comes to a point where you're being so like commercial that you're not even like dropping good music. Like he's still like the thing he still can drop good songs and make a good couple of songs, especially with his shorter all of his shorter projects are like really good in my opinion. But it's like why can't you just continue to do this? Like you are already this popular. If you can stick to just doing this and being able to just make good music and good albums, like I think people would regard you a lot higher even with all of this stuff going on, because because then you actually have like a solid, foundation, instead of just having the foundation of pre 26 or like pre 2017 Drake. You still have like concurrently like still like releasing good music, and it does kind of suck that he hasn't released like a super good album to me since 2017. And like Kendrick, like the thing with like Kendrick is just always like Kendrick has always been like super good. Like even from Section 80, like he's just been like consistently like great, and then he's hit like enormous peaks with Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly, and then he's still dropping like elite music now. It's like it's very obvious. It's like mad one sided, and that is my like major gripe with Drake is how not only is he like well, one, he cannot take accountability at all. It's like painfully obvious he can't take accountability. Two, he's very clearly also super insecure. And what's a third? It's a the third that he just can't hold himself up. Like everyone thought that he had this like major victory lap whenever he won that beef against Meek Mill, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, go Drake." But then Pusha T and Kendrick happened, and they are brought back down to earth for the fact that yeah, you can win against little fish, but the big dogs come around and you fold. Like it's honestly really funny to me, and that is what I think my main problem with Drake is that he just can't hang with some of these people. I like his music, but he just can't hang. He just cannot hang. He's not like the. I'm not gonna make the joke, but you know what I'm thinking. That's gonna be all for me today. Do you guys share some of these opinions and at least see where I'm coming from with some of this stuff? If you do, make sure to like the video, leave a comment down below, share the channel, follow the Twitch and all socials, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow.